So it is now my pleasure to introduce my very good friend and colleague, Dr. Michael Osterholm, who is Regents Professor of Public Health, our one and only Regents Professor. It's the highest honor the University of Minnesota can bestow, and we're absolutely delighted. He's also the Presidential Endowed Chair in Public Health, the Director of the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy, and a distinguished teaching professor in the Division of Environmental Health Sciences. And he also holds faculty positions in the Technology Leadership Institute in the College of Science and Engineering, also as an adjunct professor in the medical school at the University of Minnesota. He is a member of the National Academy of Medicine and the Council of Foreign Relations. In 2005, Michael was appointed by Mike Leavitt, who was the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services at that time, to the newly established National Science Advisory Board on Biosecurity. And in July of 2008, he was named to the University of Minnesota Academic Health Center's Academy of Excellence in Health Research, and also appointed to the World Economic Forum Working Group on Pandemics. And if you don't know Michael Osterholm's name, you're not paying enough attention around the planet. This is something that you should read. Deadliest Enemy, that he wrote with a colleague, Michael Olshaker, Our War Against Killer Germs. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome for Professor Michael Osterholm.
Let me start over again. I was saying with an introduction like that, I should just sit down and take it from there and let you go on. But I owe you more than that. First of all, it's a real honor and pleasure to be here with you today. I will couch my comments in the fact that I'm beginning my 42nd year here at the University of Minnesota as a faculty member. So I'm an old white guy. So you can take your comments from whatever that means. At the same time, I hope that you'll get a sense that public health is something that's new every day. And in a sense, to help you understand that, let me just get your attention first by telling you everybody in this room is going to die. You're all going to die. Now that I have your attention, let's talk about the newness. Public health today is really the noble profession to be in. Primo Levi, an Italian chemist and survivor of Auschwitz, once said, when you come upon those who are tormented and you know how to relieve it and you don't, you become the tormentor. Today, public health is clearly one of those noble professions where we know how to relieve the torment, and at the same time, we have the tools to do it if we elect to do so, and that's the profession you're embarking upon. Let's take a step back. In 1900, average life expectancy in this country was 48 years. Today, average life expectancy exceeds 78 years. For every 3 days we've lived, in the last 100 years, we've gained 1 day of life expectancy. Now think about that. It took 80,000 generations from the caves to get to 1900. Sorry for these AV challenges here. And why did the life expectancy change occur? Public health. Anybody in the room care to venture who the modern father of public health is? Who does everybody think of when they think of the father of public health? Anybody? Come on. You're going to have to be more interactive than that. Well, John Snow is often raised as the person who pulled the pump handle, the famous cholera outbreak in London. I would submit to you, and this is the complexity of public health as we know it today, it was a guy by the name of Tesla, who the car is named after. Nikola Tesla was a Serbian engineer. Why would an engineer become the father of modern public health? Anybody have any idea? Well, Tesla discovered electricity in the finest sense of it. And although Edison is often credited with bringing us electricity, it was Tesla who really brought us the alternating current. With electricity, we could actually establish water systems that were safe because we had the ability to pump water. When you could pump water, you could actually create sewage systems that would take the waste away that was otherwise infectious. When you had electricity, you could actually start a thing called refrigeration, which had a major impact on food safety. When you had electricity, you could actually make drugs, including antibiotics and vaccines. When you had electricity, you could actually communicate in a way and keep track of what was going on in a much more highly functional way. And yet most people don't think of Tesla as the father of modern public health. And yet if you look at most of that life expectancy, it came from basic sanitation, it came from improvement in the standards of living. And today in this world where that does not exist, you also have major challenges to the public health and the health of the people of that area. The reason I bring this up is one of the things you're going to find in public health is you're going to have many strange bedfellows. I don't care which of the disciplines you come from, public health is a team sport. It means that whether you're in environmental health, whether you're in epidemiology, whether you're in biostatistics, whether you're in health systems of any kind, you're going to find here that you're going to have to learn to bridge many different disciplines. Last year of those 19 schools that Dean Finnegan just showed you, I lectured in 15 of those different schools. Now that should give you some sense of connection. And so today I want you to understand, if you think you're going to be in one single division and one single department or one single area, forget it. You are not going to be successful in public health. But if you understand the connections that occur with all these different areas of public health, then you become, in fact, what I would consider to be the future of our public health. In 2001, I started the center here at the university, the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy. And people said, what's that science and policy part? Public health is of no good if we all have lots of facts, but we don't actually turn it into action. And action without informed science is often dangerous. So one of the things I hope that you understand here is also the fact that the work that you will do, I don't care if it's a local health department, if it's in this country, another country, it's got to be connected to action. And that is something that will be bread and butter to you. The next thing is, I hope you didn't come here to learn a bunch of facts. Because if you did, you will miss the boat. For example, one area that I do a lot of work in is influenza. And I can say right now, and I start every one of my influenza lectures with the following disclaimer. I know less about influenza today than I did 10 years ago. Because as we have learned, we realize that many of the old facts have been challenged. And in the process of that, we have learned a lot of new things, and we've learned how, in fact, we are much more vulnerable than we thought to influenza. The second thing is you're going to learn about policy. The past week, I've spent a fair amount of my time working on one of the crises that nobody's hearing about. In Yemen right now, over 500,000 people have been infected with cholera bacillus, the disease cholera. Thousands have died. It's primarily in the rebel area of Yemen, which there's over 10.5 million people. And the United States, along with Saudi Arabia, have basically taken and boycotted off any trade into those areas, including closing the harbor for any supplies going to the rebel country. We are part of the perpetrator right now. We are part of the tormentor. And so we're working with policy to try to change that, to at least get medical supplies to be able to flow into this part of Yemen. Because you know who's dying? It's kids. It's old people. In dire straits. And here we sit in one of the worst crises. This is the worst cholera outbreak the world has ever known. And many people haven't even heard about it. And we're part of the tormentors. This is policy and science together, and that's what public health is about. I hope if I leave you with nothing else here today, because after 42 years, it's easier for me to get up every day and do my job. Even though people say to me all the time, oh my God, how do you sleep at night with what you know? And of course I tell them I actually fall asleep very easily, ask my wife. But the point being is that I hope that in this next year, you get infected with the excitement and the potential of public health. We're not talking about just saving one life at a time, which in fact we can do. And we do it very well. But we're talking about whole populations. And we're not talking about saving us from death. Remember, I started out by saying you're all going to die. Well, you know what? Today, there are a lot of deaths out there that I would never want to have. I personally have an aging mother right now who has lost most of her cognitive function. It's cruel. It's cruel to watch that. When she dies, she'll be counted as a statistic. I will know that she spent the latter part of her years in a place I wouldn't want her to be. On the other hand, if I'm 92 and I'm out fly fishing and I have a big brook trout on and I have an MI and I go face down in the water, do not count that cardiac death as a failure. It was a success. And one of the things we're going to learn about in public health is our job is to substitute good deaths for bad deaths. Our job is not to prevent death. And if you think about all that you do and where you go and how you do it, your job should be about improving the quality of life and substituting good deaths for bad deaths. And if you do that, there is nothing more noble. Now, let me conclude by just saying that over the course of the next year, you're going to meet many different faculty here at the university, and it's your job to challenge them as much as they challenge you. That is also the spirit of public health. I offer a class in the spring on policy and science coming together and the collision, and right now in this administration it's a particularly acute issue. And the point being is that that's the kind of class where it's just as important for the students to contribute their piece to the challenge as it is to be challenged. And if you're going to wait to be motivated, if you're going to wait to be challenged, then you're in the wrong field. Get out. Find something that's less challenging. But if you're prepared to challenge and you're prepared to ask questions, hard questions, and you're prepared to wait for answers that sometimes are not satisfactory, but answers that can be changed if we work hard enough, then you're in the right profession. And so I encourage all of you, and I'd welcome all of you to be in my class. It would be pretty exciting to see this many people. But you're going to have to talk more, trust me. So with that, I'm going to conclude, and we have time for a few questions and answers if you'd like. I'd be happy to share with you what I don't know, and I will always tell you that, and hopefully a few things that I do know. So thank you. We have microphones up here. Anybody have questions? You're an easy bunch. But that's not good. We're going to make it hard for you. One day you'll ask the question. So thank you very much. Wait, we have a question. We do have a question. Hold it. There's one right here. I could see that face the whole time. You were pondering this. Right over here. Yes, sir. The microphone's coming to you, okay? It's right behind you. Thank you.
So what's attractive about public health to me is that we're focused on action and results, right? And
right.
So impacting policy, today might be more difficult. What have you seen is an effective route to impact policy today and for the next 4 years?
First, thank you. That's a great question. Everybody hear it okay? The rest of the room? Okay. First of all, expect the unexpected. You have no idea how you'll get involved. As I said, I've been here since 1975, but for 29, almost 30 of those years, I was also the state epidemiologist of the health department. I had dual roles. And I came to the university the week before 9/11 of 2001. And I had written a book the previous year on bioterrorism and why it was going to happen and what the problems were going to be. And as Dean Finnegan can tell you, within 3 weeks, then Secretary Thompson at HHS asked me to come and be a special advisor to him. So for 3.5 years, I split my time between the University of Minnesota and being at the Secretary's office at HHS. And then for 5 months during that time period, I was one of 2 people that ran CDC in between the times of 2 directors. Now, I had not expected any of those to happen like that, and we sure took advantage of trying to affect policy. Every day there are options or opportunities to do this, and I think the key piece is you're constantly looking for that. One of the things I said earlier, public health is a team sport. We work with lots of different people in lots of different places, whether it's the philanthropic world. We're right now, our center is actually developing what we call roadmaps for major vaccine initiatives at WHO, the World Health Organization, funded by the Wellcome Trust Foundation. We were the group that put together on a moment's notice a thing called Ebola Vaccine Team B, which turned out to be a global group of international experts that has overseen all the Ebola vaccine policy work out of Africa. And so there's ample opportunities in public health. It's just the willingness to put yourself out there. And I will tell you, let me just make one other point that's very important, because this is kind of an anticipatory issue. I do not recommend this as a weight loss campaign, but if you do this, you will get shot from the front and the back, and you may get shot enough times that eventually bullets will pass through without touching flesh. But that's the beauty of public health, because when you do that, that's when you know you're making a difference. And, from my perspective, again, I come back to Primo Levi. If we're not relieving the pain, then we ourselves become the tormentors, and policy has got to be a critical piece of that. And so I don't care whether you're in environmental health, epidemiology, acute disease, chronic disease. I don't care if you're in biostatistics, health systems, health policy and science are got to be merged together. And that's, I think, one of the beauties of public health.